how real estate agents use social media to explode their business into the 7 figures and beyond. I was blessed to be on a panel at Compass, their new YPN, with 2 big-time heavy hitters, one down in Florida, one in New York City, both doing a ton of business, all 3 of us using social media to get those leads. A lot of great information. Hope you guys enjoy it. Take care.
So these are our panelists. We have Kelly Robinson from the city. We have Charles, aka Handsome Homebuyer, and we should get Stevie on the screen over here, who's from Florida. So, there she is. Hi. All right, so this is our panelist. So
For a quick little intro, Charles, introduce yourself.
Charles Weinraub, Handsome Homebuyer. I think I know most of you. It's great to see all you guys. Fix and flip investor, developer. That's my thing. 400 plus
Real estate mogul.
Real estate mogul.
There you go.
Amazing. Kelly Robinson. Kelly Robinson, New York, and Kelly Minds Her Manners. Long story, I won't get into it now. Both on Instagram. And I've been in real estate sales, residential in Manhattan for almost 18 years. At Compass for 6. I have a team. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here and meet you guys and share what I possibly can help you with.
Stevie, who are you?
Good. I'm Stevie Hahn. I am a real estate agent in Northeast Florida. So it's the Jacksonville, St. Augustine area. Jacksonville is actually huge. It's the largest city in the U.S. So I covered a huge area. I've been in the business for 8 years, and I switched over to Real Broker a couple months ago. But thank you so much for having me. This is so great to be able to do this virtually.
So with Compass YPN, we're going to be hosting about 4 events a year. And the committee members, along with management, are going to try to bring to all of our Compass agents what really can help and what really can be impactful. Instead of filling the calendar with one event every month, we're really going to try to blow up each event and really be impactful. And now we know that video and social media is really the way of the future of real estate all over the country and all over the world. So we thought maybe for the first event, we really try to hone in on some of the things that some of the pros are doing and how well they're doing at certain things. So we're gonna ask them, the pros, some questions, and then we're gonna open it up to questions from you guys, all right? So without further ado, let's get into it, all right? So the way it'll work is anybody, whoever wants to jump in and answer the question, feel free, and then we'll go there, we'll keep it light. For the first question, questions for the group. 3 ways to help grow your followers. How did you guys grow your follow count over the years so quickly and so organically?
Take it away.
You go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't so quick. It's been taking a while. I've probably been doing it for about 4 years, 3 to 4 years extensively, and it's been a slow kind of climb. I think the most important thing is to not get caught up in the numbers of it.
Cool.
Like for all intents and purposes, I have 14,500 followers, right? It's not really a lot. These ladies have a tremendous amount more. I don't want people to get caught up on the numbers. I think it's really important just to get caught up on, is it the right people? So while 10 or 14,000 isn't that many, it's all the people that I want, right? So just be conscious of like who you're marketing to and make sure that you're going to those people. If you have 1.3 or 2 million followers, but none of them is going to help your business, it kind of defeats the purpose of what you're doing.
Awesome.
Completely agree. So it's been about 10 years for me since I started my following, and I had hired an intern to help me. And I had 700 followers at the time, and he was a genius. And I just said, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna give you a beautiful, fancy camera, and I want you to go to all of the landmarks in New York City and the most beautiful penthouses and take pictures and give the history and all of this stuff. And that's what we're gonna post about. And so he started doing that, and we grew a little bit, but he's like, Kelly, you have to start posting photos of yourself. And I was like, I feel so narcissistic. And he's like, no, people want to work with people they can relate to. And so once we started doing that, he grew my following from about 700 to about 10,000 in a matter of 6 months, just through, being more personal and also engagement, really engaging with the followers. Now, it's hard to do all of that when you don't have time and you're a busy real estate agent, but you can find time or you can have somebody help you.
Awesome. Love it.
Stevie.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay. The question was 3 ways to help you grow your followers, correct?
And then how did you grow yours so quickly or over time?
Okay. Yeah, my first thought as well was that it wasn't quick. And then I started my Instagram as soon as I got my real estate license, which is 8 years ago. And Instagram was not nearly what it is now. And I really just showed up being who I am, just showing all the behind the scenes of learning and doing all these open houses and trainings, and really just coming from a place of service and trying to help educate other people. And I think that's what people want to see, and that's how it grew. And then the same thing with engaging, actually having conversations with people. I feel like you have to be meeting as many people as possible, right? So I was taking those relationships offline, like, hey, let's get together, let's grab coffee, let's grab lunch. If they had a business, I would say, like, hey, let's see how we could help each other. And I've always been really into events over the last couple of years. So I really utilized social media to help with that as well, to take those relationships offline where people I've been communicating with, connecting with, just inviting everybody to these events so that I can actually meet them in person.
Perfect.
Hopefully that helped.
Yeah, no, love it.
Perfect.
Thank you. Next up, so do you feel like, and I know Kelly just touched on it, do you feel like posting and talking about personal content helped you along the lines with social media growing your business? With that 2-part question, do you have a separate real estate account and a personal account, or do you have one account and mix your life into both?
So networking is my primary, up until recently, networking was the primary way that I would get deals. That's where all my deal flow came in. So what I would do is I would go out and meet people, and I would take their business cards, and then I would follow them on Facebook and Instagram, and I would weave my way into their life in a non-creepy way. Right? So that's super important, because you meet somebody, it's basically an extension of, networking. You meet somebody, they don't see you, if you're not popping up, 3-4 times a day. When you meet somebody, you go, you follow them, you post, you engage with the people on there. Don't be crazy and like everything that they do, but that's something that really works.
Do you have I know you don't.
Separate. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have a separate or do you have one account?
I just have one,
Yeah.
because I kind of feel like I don't post a lot of personal stuff. Believe it or not, I don't like social media. If it wasn't so amazing for business, I wouldn't have it. I think it's like the devil. A lot of great relationships have gone to hell because of social media.
Oh no.
Or going to hell as we speak. So I don't like that. So I have my business. I focus on my business. I weave in a couple little personal things, but in general, I just like to keep it business. That's just my own personal preference.
I have a personal account somewhere. I don't remember the password for it. I will expand on something that you just said, which is I went and found all of my friends from nursery school through college, and I just started following them. And I have gotten deals and done deals from random people on Instagram, but the majority of the over 7-figure GCI that I have brought in just from Instagram alone has come from people from my past that maybe I haven't spoken to in 10 years, but they know me from social media, and they think of me now when they know somebody or they themselves need real estate. So I think that that's really, really important. Unlike some other people, I don't post as many real estate I'll post tips and tricks, but my bad days turned into something humorous tend to get more engagement.
It's relatable.
It's relatable.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Stevie, do you have one account or do you have 2 accounts? And how do you post some personal content? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so for years, I only had one account, and the trainings that I would do, which everyone is so different how they want to do it, but I always just had one account until I started the team. I made the Stevie Hahn Team Instagram account because I really wanted to leverage that and showcase them so that when people reached out to me, they knew it wasn't just me and that I would have someone else helping them. But I do find it so beneficial to share more about yourself versus business real estate content. I feel like I almost just do it for myself sometimes, where I'll share a listing or my sales for that month, just to kind of show people like, hey, I actually do sell real estate. But I think just sharing the behind the scenes is what builds the credibility with showcasing that you are doing business, but it also is just so much more interesting and relatable versus than just listed, just sold.
I agree with that. And I do have 2 accounts because Kelly Robinson New York got hacked at one point and I thought I was never going to get it back. But so I started Kelly Minds Her Manners, which is the name of my podcast, which is now my 2nd account and just dedicated to my podcast.
Cool. Okay, cool. And then what would be what would be your advice to someone that's just starting out? I just got my license a year ago or less, and I'm just starting out. I don't have a lot of followers. What should I do? What should be the first couple of things I focus on and do with social media?
So I'll go ahead and start if that's okay. I love coffee and contracts, and I feel like if you're really struggling with content ideas, that they give you a lot of templates to be able to use on honestly the daily. So they do every single month. They'll give you really good content daily, and they give you the caption, the photo. You can customize it in Canva, and it's very user friendly. So I think honestly, like really starting there, because you can create guides in there, buyer guides, seller guides, business card, logos, branding templates. So if I was brand new in the business, I would be really exploring that website.
Awesome.
Yeah. I would do a mix of, personal posts, obviously not too personal, like, but personal posts and your journey as an agent or a new agent, and doing things like property tours, open houses, showing things like that in video. I would just start doing that and just make sure you use the right hashtags and you tag the right people, right?
Cool. So a couple of different things. You got to get organized. Being organized is the most important thing. Who here is actively creating content regularly multiple times a day? Nobody, right? Most likely the people that aren't are doing it for 2 reasons. The number one reason is they feel funny doing it, right? Who here is funny doing it? You gotta get over it. I have no magical words of wisdom. You have to get over it. If you like being successful and making a lot of money, you gotta get over it. That's what it comes down to. 2, it's, they don't know what to say. They think, it's a lot of work. Does anybody really want to listen to me? Am I really that interesting? Did anybody have these thoughts kind of pop into their head? So you don't have to be interesting to everybody. You have to be interesting to this small sector of the market that is looking to either buy or sell a house in your area. That's what's important. B, you have to carve out time for it, right? This is a follow-up business. So what social media is, it's kind of like digital mass scale follow-up where you're in people's face. So if you're working with a buyer or a seller, and they're like, I'm ready in 3 months, and all of a sudden they're ready, and you don't pop up, when they go to their phone and you don't pop up and somebody else does, you're gonna lose the deal. And so it's very important to get organized and say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna shoot content every Monday for 2 hours. Don't obsess about the quality. At one point I had a team of like 6 people. It doesn't have to be that crazy. It could be just you with the phone. Don't obsess about the production value of it. Just get it going. When you start making money as a result of it, you can then invest in it like everything else.
Love that. You took my next question. Damn you, Charles. I was going to say, what's some advice for people that are not posting because they're camera shy? And I actually love what you said. It's because I was like that too. It's almost like you got to get over it, like you just got to get comfortable. But I'm going to open up the floor to you guys. So what is your advice? Someone that's just starting out and they're camera shy, what should we focus on? What should we do?
You want to go, Stevie?
Okay. So I was ridiculously shy on videos when I first started, and they were so bad. I share them on they're so bad, they're good though. Looking back on them, I share them on my Instagram stories sometimes. And like some people who are recent followers, they can't even believe it. I was just so quiet, timid, insecure, and I always tell people, I almost feel as though those feelings don't go away. 8 years in, I still have my own insecurities. I'm human, right? But I do feel as though you get better through the process. And when you practice, it helps build your confidence with wanting to show up on video. But you can't get there unless you like go through the trenches of it, of like, look, you might really suck. And that's okay. That's just what you have to do in order to get better with it. And no one's expecting you to show up to be this professional speaker on video. Like, you're a real estate agent. If you showed up being perfect, you probably wouldn't be relatable. People wouldn't be that interested. I still stumble over my words. I mess up Instagram stories, on live, and I just keep going and rolling with it. And I don't think anyone has the expectation for you or myself to show up being perfect. So I think we all have to start somewhere, and it gets better.
I agree. And I like I said, when in the beginning, when I was told you have to start posting yourself, and I felt super narcissistic. It was less about being camera shy, but more about feeling like narcissistic. Like, who cares about like my photo or my video or whatever. But people, especially now, the algorithms have changed, and video and reels are what get the most engagement. And it's you. And there are ways to edit things, right? Like, you can set up your little stand with your iPhone and take a couple of takes, and then you can cut them down. And there's a great app called Splice. There's also a great app called Clips. So you can take your clips and make them into one total video. So if you say you take 2 takes of your video that you're doing, talking, and you don't like parts of each one, you can cut them down and then merge them together in clips to create one good video. And then you can go into apps like CapCut and Splice and remove the ums and the likes and stuff like that.
Wow.
So it takes a little bit of work in those apps to figure out how to do it, but it's worth it if you want something a little more professional. And you can also add trending music in the apps. You can add voiceover in the apps, and you can just keep doing it over and over. So if you don't feel comfortable doing video yet, take some of your best photos of real estate, of something like an inspirational quote or something like stats, and have something with you, and then have some stats, and make them into a video in clips, and then do a voiceover in Splice and make it into a reel that way. It doesn't have to be you on video if you're shy at first. And that's how you can kind of get started. And I can talk to you guys more about that after.
You took my next question, but
Oh,
you guys.
sorry.
But yeah.
It's perfect now. This is great.
Going on that?
Yeah.
Just don't overthink it, right? So as far as topics, everyone's like, who here is like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to talk about. Everyone's got topics to talk about?
No.
Most people say to me, I don't know what to talk about, right? This is what I say to people. Think about what's going on in your day-to-day. If you're having a conversation with a buyer or seller and they're asking you questions about something, that's a topic, right? It's very, very easy. Just think about the stuff that goes on in your day. If you're having a terrible day and everything's going to shit, jump on, do a live, and tell the world that everything's going to shit. I did that yesterday. It happens. I don't rewatch any of my videos. I mean, the most important thing for me is like, don't overanalyze it. I just put it out. Some people, might disagree with that. For me, A, I don't have the time. B, I find that people relate to the authenticity, and just if people are seeing you, a lot of times people aren't even necessarily consuming the content. Because think about how much content is coming out. Like, people just don't have time to do it. But they don't have to watch my video. All they have to do is see my face, right? Because that gentleman in the middle with the good hair, he's not watching my videos, but he follows me, and all of a sudden, twice a year, he gets a house that stinks like cat piss, and he sees me pop up. He's like, I gotta pull that guy,
Yeah.
right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Exactly. Love it. My next question was going to say, if somebody's just starting out and they don't have the resources to have a videographer and a studio, this and that, what are some apps, websites, and tools that you guys use that somebody that's just starting out can use?
The good old iPhone, you could just use that it's still really, really great quality. When I went to go get my first camera, the guy was telling me, he was like, if this is your budget, like, use the iPhone. It's just as good. You really have to spend a lot of money to get a quality camera that's even better than the iPhone. So I really think like shooting your videos on that, using an app called the teleprompter app that can help have that content up there for you if that's beneficial. But yeah, just using your phone.
Perfect. You just touched on a bunch of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can go ahead and then I'll follow it.
So think about it like this, like, again, so my most successful video of all time is 22.5 million views on TikTok, right? It's a 30-second video of the 3D printed house that we were doing. It is like just, I grabbed it, I was like, and I was talking over it, and that's it, right? No quality, no cutting, no nothing, by far and away the most successful. So I think what TikTok has proven, right, and basically you're getting the TikTokification, right? That's a real word.
I think you just made it up.
If it's
but
not, it is
it might
not.
be in the dictionary next year.
Of social media, because now social media, the cool thing is, for the most part, you want to tailor it to the platform when you get to that point, but everything favors short form video now, right? YouTube Shorts and stuff like that. So you can kind of repost a lot of the same stuff just quickly across all the different platforms. But a lot of times it doesn't. I mean, how many people have seen videos with millions of views with a guy or girl just walking down the street with a camera in their hand? Don't not do it because you don't feel you have the money or understand how to work all these crazy apps.
Yeah, and the other thing about the apps and stuff like that and not having a budget to, hire a whole crew, go to joinhandshake.com. They will blast out your internship opportunities to all of the best schools. And I have gotten some incredible interns. There are people that study social media as a major now.
Wow.
And you could get, or get a computer scientist, get a marketing major. They all know about the algorithms, everything about social media. They know what you should be posting. They know it's trending. They're good with their iPhones. If you have a special camera, they're good. They may even have one, right? Or you can get a photography major or what have you. And most of the time they are free. What I do to entice them more is I add them as a non-licensed team member. So they get a Compass email address. They get to put on their resume that they worked at Compass on the team. That is all really valuable for them. They love it. I can't tell you how much I learn from these young interns. So if you are not good with the apps and everything, get some interns. I had 4 this summer. And there are interns that work in the winter too, right? Like I have 3 right now.
And what Kate and I will do for everyone is we'll follow up with the panel here and we'll put together an email for you guys of the apps that we talked about, the website that we talked about. Because I see a bunch of people firing off notes. We'll send out some stuff too.
And I'm going to do a quick plug for Cardinal, who's our sponsor,
Yeah.
and who has a video studio being set up in their office as we speak that they're going to offer to the agents to use and film content. So
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So I'm a new agent that just started out. We talked about time blocking, right? Because I don't have enough time. I have 3 kids. I have another job. I sell 50 houses a year. I don't have time. Answer that question for us, because you guys sell more houses than everybody or flip more houses than everybody and seem to do it successfully. So how do you guys do it? Instead of telling us what to do, how do you guys do it so we can integrate that into our everyday lives?
I do it at night a lot of times after work when I'm exhausted. I have also done, if anybody was at the Atlanta retreat, Taya DiCarlo was on the panel with me, and she actually made a really good point. Take a Saturday once a month, bring a bunch of outfits, bring a suitcase, coffee mugs, props, whatever, and for 2 hours, just shoot all of your content for the month, and then you can post it, between the right times to post, which tend to be like 4 and 7 p.m. at night. Although I tend to get a lot of engagement really early in the morning too. So
Same.
yeah.
Early morning. Post
Yeah. So I would say take a Saturday once a month and do everything if you don't have time for 2 or 3 hours, and then just post it. And Instagram is now coming out with some tools, which I know is another question of yours, so I'll wait.
Thank you. Charles?
So time blocking, I started time blocking recently, and it's absolutely changed my life, right? Like, I didn't realize that there was actually like a Google Calendar app on the phone until like a month ago. So if you use Gmail, I'm sure most people do, And I basically, the night before, time block my entire day. So I book my entire day to the max, from the moment I wake up to the moment I pass out due to sheer exhaustion. And I don't get everything done, but I get a lot of it done. And I get way more done that way than if I didn't. I think I'm guilty of this. I don't know if any of you guys are. If you don't lay out exactly what it is that you have to do on basically like an hour by hour basis, you will get caught up, waste time. You'll waste time thinking about the shit you have to do and not remember it. So that's the way to really be efficient, and it's completely changed my business.
I agree. I put bathroom breaks in my calendar. I love Google Calendar. Sorry if I was too.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Oh, God. You wait until
Yeah, definitely batching the content, of course. I like to do braiding photo shoots, so that way I have like really good quality images that I can not only use on social media, but my website and marketing materials. And then the content is done for me and edited beautifully. And then this way, I'm able to already have this content ready to go out, because I mean, for me, most days aren't glamorous or super fun and exciting. So that way I already have this content ready. And then I'm only having to worry about like some behind the scenes throughout the weeks, right?
Perfect.
Can I throw something real
Yeah,
quick?
love it.
So one way to efficiently really do it is, and I scream this from the top of the mountains all the time, is podcast. Podcast.
That's my next question.
Oh,
You are.
all right, so then- I do it.
Good. Ready, really quick, and you're gonna go first. Out of all the platforms, as a new agent, what should I be focusing on, and what has made you guys successful, and what are you working on today? Go.
So you have to be on all platforms, right? Because you can have an awesome video on Instagram, but if the person you try to reach is only on LinkedIn because they don't like Instagram, they're never going to see it. Doesn't matter how amazing you are. So you have to be on all of them. At the beginning, if you just repost the same thing over and over, just repost the same thing until you can kind of tailor it to that individual platform and the way people behave on it. If I could do only one thing, it would be a podcast. A podcast is the most selfish yet appearing selfless thing you can possibly do for a couple different reasons, right? And again, I'll use loan officers, for example, right? Because this is like my example lately. How many real estate agents get calls from loan officers and they say, hey, I want to take you to lunch or coffee and I want to tell you all about my products?
4 a day.
Yeah. Nobody gives a shit right, about the loan officer's products and all that, right? But if the loan officer calls you and says, hey, I do a podcast, right? I'd love to hear about your story. I'd love to hear about what you're doing. And I think my audience would really love to hear about, Compass, how you came up, how you got into real estate, and all the things that you're doing in your business right now. Who's saying no to that?
Exactly.
Nobody. So what happens? Now, like I've met so many people that definitely would never wanted to talk to me, but because I called them up and I was like, hey, I have a podcast. They're like, all right, that's cool because it's a novelty. People love to talk about themselves, right? And what do you get? So now, I don't care if anybody watches the thing really. Now I'm friends with this person.
Yeah.
Now we're cool. Like I can call you, we can talk, because I'm a pretty cool guy if you get to know me, right? So now we've broken down that barrier. So I have the relationship, most important. Second, I have long form content which goes out on YouTube. Then you can chop it up into a million pieces with an intern or somebody on Fiverr overseas really cheap, and you can repurpose it all over the place. Then you're gonna tag them, they're gonna tag you, they're super excited. Now all of a sudden you're exposed to all the people that they know that didn't know you, which is why collaboration is the most important thing you can do in social media.
I will second that. I just started my podcast. Kelly minds her manners with an O, and occasionally I mind my manners. And I've only had it's one episode a week, and it's I've interviewed some amazing people, but now I have really good connections not only with those people, but my listeners are growing every week, and they're starting to follow me on social media. And you're chopping things up and you have more content for social media. I take a little bit of a different approach when it comes to which platforms. I'm terrible with Facebook. I should post more on Facebook. I don't. I would say if you are overwhelmed by all the platforms and you just want to choose one to start off with, who is your audience? Are they the more serious, more business-minded individuals that want data on LinkedIn? Are they TikTok, where you got to do something a little more fun? Instagram, you got to do something a little more fun, or a mix of everything? Find out who your audience is and where their social media platforms are where they're utilizing their time and social media. and post there first. And then you can start to cross list and figure out like what's getting engagement and what's not. But if you just start with the one that your peers, those people that you grew up with, what have you, those people use. That's where you're, then those people will, then you'll plug your other social media handles. Those people will start to follow you on your other platforms.
I couldn't agree more. Everything she said was so perfect.
Thanks.
And I'll interject too to piggyback on Charles's point. So if you're an agent out there and you're like, well, there's no way I'm starting a podcast. No, I'm not doing that, right? Something that Charles helped me with about a year ago too is like Cardinals opening up their studio so you can jump on podcasts there. I know Charles has a podcast, and people that do have podcasts are also looking for guests. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I'd say that one of my most engaging videos was on Charles's podcast when I literally spoke about how my wife will shoot you if you ring our doorbell. And you become relatable. You remember when I did the whole, that? So like if you're saying to yourself, well, I'm not starting a podcast, there's no way. Talk to the Cardinal, talk to other people, because I know a lot of loan officers do have podcasts and they're always looking for guests too. Keep that in the back of your mind. And then we got that one. Do you recommend cross-posting each content? I know we touched on it, right? But let's just go into it a little bit, right? So we touched on the next thing we want to get into. So like more of my people are Instagram, more of my people are Facebook. How do I manage that?
I'll cross post on Instagram and TikTok. I feel like they're pretty comparable. And I cross post sometimes on both of my Instagram accounts when it comes to the podcasts, because you can invite a collaborator and you don't have to then go repost everything again. You just invite collaborator, accept, and then it's posted on both accounts and you get more views. But what I said before is what I think personally.
At the beginning, I think it's super, super important, in my own opinion, to be on every single platform, because you don't know. Like I had a video that I posted on Instagram, and it's weird because, and I'm sure you've had this happen, right? You post something, it doesn't do that great, and then like a year later, all of a sudden it explodes, and you're like, what the hell happened? I posted this thing like a year ago. I posted something across all TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc., and then I posted it as a YouTube short. As a YouTube short, it's got like 1 million views, and I got like 3,000 YouTube subscribers in the last 2 weeks over this thing.
Wow.
So it takes literally 30 more seconds to post the same clip on LinkedIn, TikTok, etc. Just do it. Don't worry about how it's going to do. Just as long as it's there, people are going to see you. If you're not there, people are not going to see you. That's a guarantee.
YouTube short, you're saying just post the video to YouTube, or is YouTube short separate from just posting on YouTube?
So YouTube came up with YouTube Shorts, which is 60 seconds or less to obviously compete with TikTok, and they're heavily pushing it, so the algorithm favors the YouTube Shorts. So if you're going to do a reel that's 60 seconds, you can post it as a reel, you can post it on Facebook, you can post it on TikTok, you can post it as a YouTube Short, on LinkedIn, etc. Just post them all. The only thing you can't do that with, which is a little bit different, is Twitter. Right? Twitter is just something that I've never really mastered, but I still say whatever nonsense is on my mind on Twitter. You never know. Like, to sound cliche, one video or one post could literally change your life.
Yeah. Sure. Stevie, anything to add?
I'm always doing my weekly email. So I've been doing my weekly email for years. I know it's not a social media platform, but I've been doing trainings on it, and realtors will always say, like, how do you come up with content for your weekly email every week? And I'm like, I'm just sharing everything that I'm posting on these platforms. And so it really doesn't take me long every week to get this out. So yeah, I'm sharing everything on all platforms.
I love that. The weekly email, so I'm going to change it up. Next question. How do you figure out what your authentic self is? We hear all the time, best advice when posting is to be your authentic self. Well, what does that truly mean? Because it sounds a little cliche, but maybe hearing it from you guys, you could make some sense of it. Tough question.
Yeah, I mean, look, like, you don't have to like take your makeup off and do a face wash on Instagram, but being, like, God knows I'll never do that. But being your authentic self, meaning, like, if you have a bad day, post about it, but make a little bit of humor about it, right? Like, I had a post that did really well where I just got one of those bottle-sized glasses for wine, and I poured an entire bottle of wine in the glass Well, the caption was like, talking about how I had a buyer of mine call me for over 30 minutes. He was telling me he was going to sue me. I couldn't get a word in edgewise. He then realized he called the wrong Kelly. People love that stuff. And I literally drank an entire bottle. I don't drink that much. I drank an entire bottle of wine in 30 minutes because I was like, I'm getting sued by a billionaire. Like, I can't afford the same lawyers he has. I don't even know what I did. You know what I mean? Like, people love that stuff because that's life.
Charles.
What was the question again?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, getting sued by a billionaire. That'd be terrible. Authentic self. Being your authentic self is the easiest thing to possibly do, right? It's just a matter of being comfortable with who you are. The important thing to remember is, like, no one else's opinion really matters. And the question is, whatever your goal is, right? Like, if your goal is to, make $100,000 a year, to sell 3 houses a year, to make enough money to send to go on a vacation, whatever it is, to sell, 200 houses, whatever it is, you have to ask yourself, what's more important, right? Is the fear of somebody who doesn't know you leaving some nasty comment going to stop you from, achieving that goal? And when you're 90 years old, like, I think about this all the time, kind of cliche, but I think about it all the time. Like, if I was 90 some odd years old, 100 some odd years old, right, I'm on my deathbed, how am I going to feel that, like, I didn't take the shot? You can always make more money. It doesn't matter if, like, somebody says something nasty about you, if you approach that guy or girl and they reject you. Like, these people aren't rejecting you. They don't even know who you are.
Oh, people say nasty things to me on my posts all the time. Who cares?
I turn it into videos, so I made mean talks, right? I bit off mean tweets. People said so much nasty shit about me on TikTok that I made like a 3-minute video and read all the nasty things.
I saw that.
That's awesome.
That was good.
Right? And then turned it into little clips and stuff.
That's amazing. I love that.
And just have fun with it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anybody who's gonna take time out of their day to blast you, you almost gotta say to yourself, like, I'll give you a hug. Like, you gotta have some. If you're this upset, you have to have something going on.
It's
in your life.
jealousy.
It's not me. It's not me.
Yeah, I had somebody say something really mean to me on one of my posts today, and I looked at their profile, and it was all pictures of knives. And I was like, blocked. Like, who cares? Like, people are going to be mean, but they're watching your content.
True.
Stevie, what do you got for that?
For being authentic, right?
Yeah.
I think really just sharing your interests. I don't feel like that's like something that's so personal. I don't think like we're sharing, our relationships or anything super deep. It's just sharing. You could just start with things that you're interested in, like hobbies, and just kind of like start slowly until you start feeling a little bit more comfortable with maybe sharing a little bit more about yourself. But I think what really gets the most engagement is when I'm actually on Instagram, because I love Instagram. So I am always on this platform. But when I'm on there on stories, actually like conversating, talking to that person, I feel like you can just get a better idea of myself, my personality, being genuine, and you just are able to build that trust factor. And I think build it faster when you're actually on and actually talking.
Well,
One
go.
quick thing. Very quick thing. Nothing will force or cause a connection with somebody more so and faster than vulnerability. Right? Extremely quick 30-second story. You know when my career blew up? When my sort of ex-wife left me a week after our wedding, and I was so upset about it that I talked to everybody about it, and my career literally blew up. So this is my second year. First year I flipped 10 houses. My second year I flipped 40 houses. Up until this point when this happened, end of July. Sorry, I'm a little dark here.
No, it's not.
Right? I had done 10 houses. She disappears a week after the wedding. I was so distraught. I was talking to everybody about it. Bought 30 houses in the next 5 months, right? I don't know. And then exploded from that point, right? So vulnerability will like form bonds with people because everyone's got dark shit. Like everybody in this room has dark shit. Everyone's been broken up on, cheated on, has a screwed up father, mother, uncle, brother, whatever. When people feel they can relate to you because like you have the same shit that they do, or sometimes you're like, oh, I thought my shit was bad, you keep your shit.
It's true. I did a post for like my recap of 2022, and I included some beautiful photos of my boyfriend and I, who we had just broken up. He was the love of we were the love of each other's lives, but like irreconcilable differences. And I had so many people who, and I put like cinematic music behind it but I highlighted all the great things of that year too. So it was a mix of like, yeah, life's not perfect for everybody. Like everybody goes through ups and downs. You want people to relate to you and to empathize and sympathize with you. So, and to feel closer to you. And I got so many comments and messages like, Kelly, that made me cry. Like, I'm like, really? But, you know, you want that. You want to be your authentic self. You want to be a little bit vulnerable. You know, I don't suggest like sending messages as posts to like your exes on, you know, social media. But you know what I mean. You just be real. Life happens.
I love it. Stevie, anything to add?
I think, like, look, it's scary being vulnerable, right? Even with people that you're close with, and to be able to, you know, share that in front of maybe thousands of people, it's just scary. And I think anytime that I have done it, I am still nervous. I'm not like, oh yeah, so confident about it. But afterwards, the conversations that I have, because my audience is mostly women, the conversations that I've had with women, it's just brought us a lot closer. It's just like, you know, that authentic factor and just being real. And I think that's what you're wanting to attract, is having real conversations with people.
Love it. That was good. All right, second to last question. Do you pay for followers or know anyone that do? What amount is reasonable to spend if you do so? And if you do so, are there companies to recommend, or are you totally against it?
I am against it. I know people who do it, and you can find the people that do it, because if they have like 30,000 followers and 2 likes. Yeah, engagement is really important. Your engagement rate is so much more important. Quality over quantity. If I lost 10,000 followers tomorrow, but I still had the same engagement rate, I would be fine. Right? You don't want to buy followers. If you buy followers, they're not going to be real people. They're going to be bots. So they're not going to engage with you anyway. It's also against the terms of all of these platforms. You could get banned, you could get blocked, all sorts of things. Don't do it. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, I mean, buying followers basically makes absolutely no sense, right? You're getting followers to engage with people that can do stuff that you can't engage with a bot. You know, if you're going to do that, you have to ask yourself, like, and again, this is like, everybody has these things, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just a matter of like addressing it, is people that do that, it's all about like insecurity on some level. So, you know, address that, work on that, because once, like, I think the biggest thing for me is, I always say life has no hold on me, meaning I don't care what anybody thinks about me. With respect to everybody in this room, I don't give a shit about what you guys think at all. And that is the most freeing thing that you can have in life.
Love that. Stevie?
Yeah, I have never paid for followers, and I don't think it matters. I don't think that somebody is going to choose me for the number of followers I have or don't have. I don't think they're going to choose another agent in my area because they have more followers. Even other businesses that I connect with, I don't care how many followers I have. And I agree that it really is the quality of people is what's most important.
Awesome. Last question on a lighter note, completely lighter note. What are some of your top 2, top 3 must follows? Could be real estate or not. I love the Thirsty Whale. He makes amazing cocktails. If you don't follow the Thirsty Whale, you're crazy. Must follow. Go for it.
I love the Broke Agent and Broke Agent Media. They're really funny. And I also love Mel Robbins. She's awesome.
What is her name?
And also Ocean Ramsey is really cool. She free dives with great white sharks and like pets them.
That's awesome.
We need to get that on the email because I got to follow.
Yeah.
Charles?
This is kind of a really boring answer. I don't have people in general that, I don't spend a lot of time on social media. I only spend time posting stuff. I don't sit there and really follow other people's things. If you go to my For You page, it's like men's fashion and like dudes looking jacked, which I don't know exactly how that happens. But you know, the people that I follow are the people that I work closely in the industry with, who I want to see what they're doing, so that we can, you know, we can work together and do things like that.
Perfect.
I think Stevie, I just heard Stevie too. I think she's looking somebody up.
I've been on a running thread.
We'll give her 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Chris, what was the one you said?
The Thirsty Whale. Oh man, he's hysterical. And like if you're ever in a shitty mood and need a drink, he's your guy. I definitely gotta talk to him one day.
Oh,
Like
I
he
gotta
goes to
follow
the
him.
cocktails.
Yeah,
He's
right
hysterical too. And the funny part about it too is like he's big on like, which is what you should do if you're making a drink. Like, don't buy the crap stuff. Like, squeeze your own citrus. And he's literally like just says, if you don't squeeze your own citrus, like your mother. And I love it.
I'm following him right now. Also, the other good one to follow is Logan Motoshami. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He is the best real estate economist out there.
Wow.
You will get so many charts and data. He's
We'll
also
put that on
fun.
the email too. That we're gonna send it a follow up.
But you can see me at 110.
Okay. I love
Do
that.
you want to open it to Q&A? while
Yep,
we
so
wait for Stevie?
Thank you so much for those. So what we're gonna do is just open it up for Q&A. So we have, it's perfect. We have another hour for Q&A. So don't be shy. Please go ahead. You're gonna raise your hands, and we're gonna let Charles and Kelly call on you guys. So I'm gonna grab some water and stop talking, and then we're gonna open it up. So whoever has a question, please feel free to raise your hand, and one of them will call on you.
How do you just like take your social media and transition it to do all like the fabulous things that you guys just said without it being like so blatant that you're like, oh my God, I just went to a networking event, learned all this stuff, and now my social media looks so different. Like if everything on there, like I feel like through my stories, I do a lot more personal or like daily life stuff. But if you look at my Instagram, it's all the just listed, just sold, and then maybe my kids playing lacrosse. But like, how do you transition it without it being like, oh, I'm really trying to like not be authentic?
So I guess the biggest thing is like, do you
Yeah.
care?
Just start.
I guess not.
Yeah, like so just think about what is it like you're caring about what people think about the stuff you're posting.
Yeah,
Once you stop, just
Do it.
do it.
Yeah, and I bet a bunch of people that follow you will be like, "Oh my God, I love that you just did that. That's so different and interesting." And like, keep it up. You know.
Yeah.
So I do some video content and definitely had to get over that hump of like being super cringy and awkward on camera. But what I always feel is the hard part for me is how do I balance doing educational videos for people versus like lifestyle videos and a little bit more lighthearted, because sometimes I feel like the educational stuff can be boring, especially for a lot of the followers.
So when I've been doing more educational stuff, I've been kind of putting a hook in there, like, okay, there's a little secret behind this. Just ask me if you want to know. Oh, thank you so much. You want to be educational at times because, like, these two have both said, like, you want people to know that you're actually selling real estate and you know what you're doing. But I find that the engagement is more on the personal side of stories and, like, your daily life stuff. You have to do the educational stuff. A really easy thing, if you don't know what to post and you want to do something educational, you can go into Compass and you can run, like, a market data report and then just give some data.
So like I think in business and in life, right, diversity is very important. So you sit down, you come up with a plan, you're like, hey, I'm gonna post once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever it is, right? Then you chop it up. You say, okay, if I'm posting 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, because that's when everyone's looking at their phones, right? They wake up, everyone looks at their phone. They go to lunch, they look at their phone. The day's over, they look at their phone, right? You gotta be there. If you're not there, somebody else is there, you're missing the deal. So if you're gonna post, let's say 3 times a day, you're gonna do 1 educational, you're gonna do 1, lighthearted, you're gonna do 1 whatever. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Just kind of sit down, lay out how much content you're gonna put, and then chop it up into different categories, and then have fun with it. Like change it up. Just don't be caught up on how many people are actually looking at it.
You gotta have more questions. There we go.
How much time do you guys spend, either a day or a week or a month, how much do you spend on creating, posting, editing, and just getting your social media out there on all of the platforms that you use?
It's a lot of work. Like anything that like yields success is going to be a lot of work. So like this is like a job that you have to make time for. So to this day, I post all my own stuff because you can't have people post for you because then it's not authentically you, and then it's not going to work. You can't like hire a company to post for you or whatever. It's not going to work. You have to write the copy. You have to do it. So it takes me, 4 minutes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner to post stuff. Not a big deal. And then if you bulk shoot it or use more long form videos, it doesn't have to be that crazy. Believe it or not, what takes the most amount of time is the editing, the post-production stuff. So you could sit down and you can shoot, like I probably shoot 2 hours a week. So I sit down 2 hours a week, rip out a bunch of content in a podcast, and then I have, you know, all these 3 clips per day for the entire week.
Similar.
Stevie, anything to add to that?
I would say that I'm not exactly sure how much time I spend, but I would say it's not nearly as much as someone who is cold calling, having to follow up on those cold calls, someone who's door knocking or doing open houses. And I mean, this is how I generate business, is through social media. And I would say that I enjoy this more and that it doesn't take nearly as much time as the other lead generations that do work.
Love that.
How many times a day do you actually recommend posting?
It depends. I mean, sometimes I'll post once a day, sometimes I'll post once every other day. I always post stories multiple times a day. Those are quick, those are easy. They don't have to necessarily be on brand because they disappear. But, and most people look at stories, like a lot more people look at stories because they just don't have the attention span a lot of times, and that's what pops up first too if you click on somebody's profile.
Charles is a monster.
Yeah, I crank it out. I crank it out because my theory is just like when you jump on at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you got to see me. You don't have to listen to me, but you have to see me because people's attention span is that short.
Stevie?
I'm posting on Instagram stories every day. A lot of times I'm repurposing content from previous times, or like when the memories come up on my Facebook or Instagram app, I am resharing everything and repurposing it and making it honestly seem like I'm doing a lot more than what I am. But when I first started, I most definitely was cranking out a lot of posts because I felt like more opportunity for people to find me and discover me. I had a goal of 3 posts a day. You know, that's 3 times a day that I'm able to do hashtags and geocoding. Now I'm not really that intense with it, and I will post on my feed like every couple of days or so. But I'm certainly sharing something on my Instagram story every day.
One more question for you. How do you figure out like what the best hashtags are, like as current market trends like continue to move along, so that you can follow that?
It depends on, you know, who your audience is and what they like. I always put Agents of Compass because I like to collaborate with my colleagues, and Compass agents and Compass Everywhere and Compass. Put, you know, whatever, are you a Smithtown agent?
No, Garden City.
Garden City Real Estate. I would hashtag that. You know, you could hashtag the location that you're in. You could hashtag real estate life. You could hashtag, and then find smaller hashtags. You could also hashtag what's trending. You could find trending hashtags and just put those in. And then you should always hashtag, if it's a reel, especially FYP, which is for you page, and for your page.
I'm gonna ask a question. And this is gonna, oh no, Stevie just left. All right, I'm gonna hold my question until she comes back. Well, I'll just
And
ask
tag your
it.
location too, because locations, people will watch the location story. Like I'll tag Manhattan, New York, and like I'll get like 150 views from people who are just looking at Manhattan, New York stories.
Can you explain that FYP? I didn't catch it.
Means for you page, so it works with the algorithm in TikTok and Instagram so that it goes to the for you page, which is what shows up in your feed when you're scrolling through looking at things.
Okay.
And hashtagging for you page, it boosts your reel or whatever to the top a little bit more.
Yeah, you can do hashtag research. Like you can just, when you go to put a hashtag in, it'll tell you like there's 300,000 of these, there's 2 million of these. I mean, you could really go into a hole on this. It's all a matter of like how much time you want to put into it, how much resources you have. Like if you have an intern, part of the intern's job can be researching trends and hashtags and things like that.
Exactly.
You have to like be efficient because it's a lot of work.
And also the hashtag that has 3 million views isn't always the best one. Sometimes it's the one that has like 10,000 views, right? It's more of a niche.
True.
All right, my question, and it's gonna be a little bit directed at Stevie, because this is how I actually learned about it, and it actually was a game changer for me on social media. How do you make your bio most discoverable? So when people, agents are out of state and looking for a Long Island realtor, you show up. And this is something that anybody can do, whether they have content or video shy, whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's just your bio.
Yeah, well, one, having your name and the area that you service. You can have that right after your name on the main title, so like right underneath your photo. So like for myself, I am always sending out realtor referrals, and I'm always getting realtor referrals. So I want to make sure that when they're searching for a realtor in Jacksonville, that I'm popping up, and that can be really helpful if you have that listed in with your name. But also make sure you have it in the bio. When I'm looking for other realtors in other areas, I might like think of somebody like, oh, I think Susie's over there, I'm not sure. And then I'll go over to her profile and it doesn't even say what area she services. So especially if you're wanting to niche down into a specific area and you're trying to attract clients, how are they going to know that you even service this area if it's not listed in there? I think it's important to list all of your contact information within your profile. So whether or not that's in your bio or you have a link tree set up so that people can be able to find you. There's just been so many times that I'm like, what's their email? What's their phone number? What's their website? You want to make it really easy for people.
I've noticed for example, some people I follow, they'll post something and then they'll have like 2 or 3 paragraphs long of them writing, and I'm like, I just keep going because I'm I'm like, do I have time to read the whole essay they wrote under the post? So is that a pro? Is that a con? Is that
Some people will read all of it, and then sometimes it's good to keep it short and sweet and do like bullet points, like kind of like they do in blog posts now, where it's like top 5 hacks for such and such. Depends on what it is.
Yeah, I agree. Some people love blogs, so some people will actually read it. And I think if you have short paragraphs and it's straight to the point, that if it's good content, that it will be read. But probably not think like, oh, I have to do 5 paragraphs for every single post. I think it's good to keep it short and sweet a lot of the time.
I think we have time for like one more question if somebody has.
Hi, I really appreciate all of this. We are very big and confident about statistics and market share, and the current market is crazy. But I'm curious to find, are you tracking yourselves to see with all your content that you're putting out there, are you actually getting live viable clients? And are you keeping these numbers? Is this something that you give us
So there's a Meta Business Suite you can you can download all the contacts from. I think it's just Meta Business Suite, and you'll get messages and stuff through there. So the majority of the business that I get isn't necessarily from random strangers. It's from people that I know from like my life who just remember that I'm in real estate because I'm on social media. And like one of my sorority sisters, I haven't seen her in 10 years. She just reached out to me the other day. She's like, my husband and I are looking to buy 10 million to 12 million. It's just because I've been on social media. So I track everything in a spreadsheet personally, but there are services that you can pay for that will track things for you.
So it's really, really hard. I mean, it's really hard to put an ROI on a personal brand. And that's why I think a lot of people are reluctant to spend money on videographers and things like that, because it's like you send a mailer, someone calls you and says, I got your mailer, it makes sense. You're like, all right, great. Spent $3,000 on mailers, I made $20,000 in commission, that's my ROI, right? Value of a personal brand is different. If you have a robust CRM, you can tag things and you can do that. But I'll give you an example, right? So who here did not know who I was before today? So like 95% of the room, 90% of the room knows who I am, right? I'm really happy to meet all of you. A lot of you guys I don't know. If I didn't have social media, would any of you guys know who I am? If any of you guys get a nasty house, is there a good, decent chance that you might call me? That's it.
And a half.
So that's kind of it right there in a nutshell, in my opinion.
I think, the other thing just to touch on is your colleagues are also your clients. I don't have an ego about, how many people I'm following versus how many followers I have. I will follow every Compass agent that I can, and I'm always happy to post their listings if they want me to post their listing or vice versa. Like, there's something, to be said about giving back and tagging somebody and helping their business and doing referral business that way too. Don't forget that social media is not just for new business or, people that you know from your past. It's also for working with your Compass colleagues.
So I do keep track of where the lead comes from in my CRM, but it is hard to keep track in the sense of, like, let's say a mailer goes out to a neighborhood and they call me from that mailer, but they had mentioned, oh, but I saw your stuff on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that. I almost wonder, like, would they have called me, like, after they did their research, they got the mailer, they looked me up? Like, I feel like the social media platforms help build credibility. It's like your online resume. So they saw this, they were impressed, and then they called. Same thing with, like, an event. Let's say I went somewhere or I met someone new and, sure, we had a good conversation, but then we connected on social media and we kept talking, kind of built this credibility on there, and then they reached out to me. So it's almost like it interacts together. So sometimes, like, I don't know exactly how to tag them. I'm like, okay, yeah, they did get that mailer, but I know I sold them with the YouTube stuff or something like that. So it's like all almost like intertwined and working together.
Yeah, you have to be doing like 30 different things consistently well all the time, and I'll get the same feedback. Like, this year I'm automating my business and building this marketing machine. So it's like, okay, I'm running a PPC. I get a web lead that comes in, and it's like, oh, we found you because we saw that you had the PPC campaign running, but then we saw you on TV, and then I was walking my dog the other day with my wife, and I saw your sign on the lawn of one of the houses that you were flipping. So we called you. So it's like, did the TV work? Did the lawn sign work? Did the PPC campaign work? Did the SEO work? What did they all did together? And that's the thing. Like, you guys have to come with a plan and say, okay, here are all the marketing verticals, and it can be very overwhelming, but social media is part of it, and you just whack out chunks of it. All right, I'm going to start with these three. Then when that's moving, I'm going to hit these three until you're doing everything.
And like, to piggyback off that, to make it not seem overwhelming, because if you're just starting out or if you're here to learn a few things and you're not at Charles's level right this second, they've said it a million times, just start somewhere, right? Being your authentic self, just starting somewhere, and you'll eventually get there. Because to Charles's point too, I see that bald, beautiful face 3 times a day, but if you just post once a week or once a day, you'll always be there. Because I also love the point of the Compass colleagues. To give you a quick stat as we wrap up, Long Island Realtors, the #1 saturated employee profession on Long Island. There's more realtors than homes. We all know that, right? So like, when you're sending an offer or if you're getting offers in, how many of you text your team, hey, do you know this person? Or if nobody knows that person, all right, I'm gonna go look up their social media really quick to see if I know you, and this and that. So I love the Compass colleagues too, so that if you post and you engage a little bit, now we get to know each other that way too, especially when you're sending and getting offers too.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times when I started my social media that I would submit an offer when I broke from my team. And I would submit an offer and I had all the social media stuff done, and they'd be like, oh, that's Kate Works, we know her, like, she has an awesome social media profile. It was with agents, it wasn't even with clients, it was with agents recognizing it.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yep. Huge. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.